Join Stacked After Hours, The Spot, where grown men and women gather to have candid, also honest discussions about the state of life, love, and more. The Spot is a hybrid of in-person and weekly virtual gatherings. Join our Facebook group and answer our daily questions. Subscribe to our YouTube for our weekly live talk shows and join us on Zoom for our talk show after parties for lively conversations with other opinionated, grown, and sexy professionals. Just search, like, follow, and subscribe to Stack After Hours on Facebook groups and YouTube. Also like and follow our brand pages at Be Stacked Wellness on Facebook and IG. So wherever you are, at home or abroad, pull out your laptop, tablet, or smartphone and join in the conversation with the members of Stacked After Hours, The Spot, by Be Stacked Wellness. See you there.
As you know, and if you are new to the Stacked family, we always keep our conversations lit and enlightening. What's up, people? Welcome to the Spot, the Stacked After Hours Spot. I am your host, Natalie Cosby, and we welcome to the show for grown folks. So tonight's show is about the ghost of relationship past, present, and future. And you know, many of us got them ghosts haunting from our past that are showing up in our present relationships. So clearly we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it and be about it. So y'all get ready, get your cocktails and fingertips loose, because we want to hear your questions and comments for tonight's show. So y'all know we keep it what? What do we keep it, y'all? Lit and enlightening. So let's get into it. So we got our regular panel tonight. We got everybody's been here, been back. I want to say hello to our girl, Renee. We dressed like twins, hitting them with the shoulder. Say, hey, Renee. Then we also have my Tanera. She is back in from Texas. We have Mr. Malik giving you Mr. Rogers, giving you the proper gentleman. We have Rashad giving us the red light special. And of course, my beautiful, lit, witty co-host, Sunshine. Say hey, Sunshine. So Sunshine, we're going to talk about it. We're really going to get into it because I thought about this topic when we were talking about the whole ghost and our past and what we bring into our current relationships and even what probably still prevails into our future relationships. So before we got on here, we used to have this thing called the SA letter, the Stacked After Hours letter. And we got somebody to write in this week. So I figured instead of doing just like going straight into questions, I'm going to have Sunshine read the letter from our viewer and share with us. And then we're going to talk about the letter and then start to really talk about what we have been carrying into our relationships. So go ahead.
And this is going to prove to everybody that I can actually read. So for those who didn't believe me. So dear SA panel, I desperately need your honest advice about my love life. I seem to attract the same type of men over and over again, and the relationships don't last very long. I'm not sure if it's me or the men I'm choosing. So a little bit about me. I'm 52 years old, work in the corporate world, and have been divorced for 8 years. Most men tell me they find me attractive, and I believe that I have a lot to offer in a relationship. I've been on dating sites and I'm looking for a professional man who is spiritual and has financial stability and can provide a lifestyle that is acceptable to my standards and will love me unconditionally. I have had 3 serious relationships since my divorce. All 3 men were nice, and I thought our relationship should have ended in matrimony because that's my ultimate goal, but they never popped the question. In each relationship, I seemed to be the more aggressive one, and they were laid back and wanted to just have fun together. When the marriage discussion came up, my last two boyfriends told me they were not interested, but wanted companionship. After I shared with them my desire to be married, both relationships started to deteriorate and we parted ways. What really hurts the most is that a year after my last two relationships ended, my former boyfriends married someone else. And both of them told me they didn't want to get married. So what am I doing wrong? Is it me or them? I really do want to be married, but I need some advice on how to attract the right potential husband. My girlfriends think I keep picking the wrong men. They also believe I come off too needy and tend to smother men. I disagree with my girlfriends, but maybe they see something in me that I don't see in myself. Please help. That's a lot. That is a lot.
Natalie, you're on mute.
Yes.
Sorry, that's a lot. Thank you. Thank you. That is a lot. I want to go ahead and start. Thoughts, y'all. Just initial thoughts based on what was the biggest thing that stuck out to you or what came to mind.
Ooh.
Many things.
Go ahead, Renee.
What stuck out to me is her saying later down the line, her expressing that she wanted to get married, and it sounded like she didn't express that at the beginning. So that stood out to me, which made me think that, okay, you're not having the conversation at the beginning about what your intentions are. So I don't think she's picking the wrong. She's following through with the wrong people without expressing what she really, really intended to come out of that particular union. So that stood out to me.
Yeah.
All right. Tanera.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I also, what stood out is that her friends have observed her traits in these relationships, and she's struggling with accepting that as truth or seeing herself in that way. And so, some will say perception is reality. Yep. And so, whether she's trying to come across that way or that's her intent, if that is the perception, there's some evaluation that may need to happen.
Gentlemen, have you guys experienced a woman similar to this woman that wrote the letter? In your thoughts, go ahead, Malik.
Yes, I mean, I think if we really read the letter carefully and examine what she's saying, she's kind of answering her own questions. It's like she sees who she is, and she just doesn't want to realize it. Yeah. And a lot of times, women. This is one thing I think women don't realize is that most men. Well, I won't say most men, but a lot of men, we also want to be married. But there's that dynamic of us actually pursuing and cultivating the relationship that culminates in marriage. It's almost like when a guy says, I want to hit it, but I don't want to hit it if it's too easy. So it's like, if you're throwing the marriage thing at me, you're not giving me a chance to kind of like, earn that and show you like, hey, I'm a good man. I can be this, I can do that. It's like, relax, because clearly these guys ended up married. So they had marriage in them. She just probably turned that switch off in them.
So something about her aggression. Is it aggression?
I think it was like maybe being needy. And I think, despite what like Rodney and Tanera said, I think her energy probably came off initially as, so this is date one, when do we get married? And it's like, relax, ma, I just met you. Like, you know what I mean? So I think even when people don't say stuff, you kind of, it's like when you meet guys, you can read a guy's energy if he's just trying to sleep with you. He doesn't have to say it. You can feel it. So I think a lot of times people don't realize the energy they're putting out. And she's probably putting out maybe, I don't want to say desperate because that has a kind of negative connotation, but she's putting out an over eager energy that I think is probably a turnoff to some men.
Rashad, what hit home for you in this letter?
What I'm gonna go a different way. I think what I'm hearing has nothing to do with her getting married. It has everything to do with her being happy with herself. And while I don't know this woman, so I don't really know her life, but just judging from what I've heard in her letter, it sounds like there's a bigger hole that needs to be filled first before she can go into a marriage. I mean, because people can sense, like my brother said, people can sense your eagerness or over eagerness or we say desperation in wanting to be in a relationship. So I think that, in that particular instance, it would probably be a better move for her to just pull back and work on herself first.
But working on herself, will that change the fact that she wants to get married? I think it's just when the guys that you're meeting, the guys that she's meeting, she needs to articulate that at the beginning because it's so important to her.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree because me telling something, I could want to be a millionaire, but I have to be working towards that. You know what I'm saying?
So Rashad, if I meet you, you and I, we meet at, I don't know, the smoothie bar.
I like smoothies.
I don't drink. We meet at the smoothie bar and we're having a great conversation and over a turmeric tonic. I'm like, okay. But you're like, Ronnie, what are you looking for? And I'm like, oh, I'm just looking to just have a good time. Right. And then 6 weeks in, I'm like, I'm looking to get married. Would you have preferred, and you're not, right? Would you have preferred when you asked me that over the turmeric tonic that I told you I was looking to get married, meet someone and get married, than to have waited 6 weeks later to be like, I'm looking to get married, especially when you're not?
What if it was strawberry tonic?
Okay, we go.
You know what?
Ain't nothing wrong with turmeric. Stop it, sunshine. And I guess so. I guess in that context, I guess, yeah, if I'm not looking to get married, then I could be upfront and honest about that. But that doesn't necessarily stop her from being disappointed, is what I'm saying. Because there are guys who are out there who will tell her whatever she needs to hear, So it's not necessarily so much about putting that out so much first as being the person that you want to be, as opposed to just announcing who I am.
I think when you're younger, it could go that way. At this age, I feel like you kind of got to put it out there. If that's what your intentions are and you feel that strong about it, you got to put it out there.
Yeah.
What happens if you meet a guy who just plays into your narrative just to get what he wants? Yeah, he's like, oh, you know what? I want to get married too.
You take the chance.
I love the idea of marriage.
And it's good. The letter is still going to end up the same way. The letter is still going to end up the same way.
Yeah, if you're a certain person, I will see who you are. You don't have to tell me. If you're a marriage-minded individual, I'm going to see that in your behavior. I'm going to see that in your conversation. You don't have, it's like you don't have to be a resume person and list A, B, C, D, and E about yourself.
But I think at this age, are people not asking you versus when we were younger, what do you want now? Because of time.
But Natalie, I think everyone's forgetting that this guy got married after her. So I don't think it's relevance in the question. I mean, what was he gonna say? Yes, no, it didn't matter. He didn't marry her, but he married the next woman.
But I guess his answer could have been, yeah, I am looking to get married. I'm looking for the right person. Now, if she's not the right person, she's not the right person.
Right.
But she can know that she's part of it's not about her. It's he's looking at other people. There's a group that he's looking at, not just her.
I think one of the questions is for her, is there a fear of even bringing up that question? Because
she asked the question, right? Didn't you guys say she asked the question and he said the last two guys said no, not them?
That
Wasn't
was
it what Sunshine said?
later.
Like two of the guys said
No,
they're
that
not
was
ready to
in
be
the
married, and then
relationship,
she
like
saw later they
later.
were married. So she did ask it. Maybe not in a timely fashion, but
Right.
she did ask it. So it's not about asking it or stating it. It's just about letting the natural progression of things happen in my mind.
Yeah.
Could I just say one quick thing about the letter though? I'm leaning towards what Rashad was saying, is that she needs to look within herself and fix herself, and just figure out what is it that she's missing before she even thinks about that's what maybe she doesn't even need marriage yet before she gets herself right. So it just sounds like it's a rush. It's like a rush, and the rush might be because of her age, and
I think
because her
also
ultimate goal is marriage.
especially if you have gotten divorced and you haven't been, you've been
Yes.
living in this particular, and I think there are some folks who have been on here who have been divorced, and you live in a certain, you have a certain type of status and socialization. Sounds like this woman is very successful. And so that is her comfort zone. It's what she sees herself, instead of being like, okay, what broke up the marriage? What do I need to work on so I don't bring it into my next relationship? Which kind of takes us in today's conversation. Yep.
I don't think she's as broken as maybe some may think. I mean, I don't know how long she was married, but this could clearly just be a person who lives by structure, and so when you work in corporate or you do certain jobs, first of all, I believe people are their jobs. And you have yearly expectations. This is how defined you set a goal or whatever. And people don't realize they bring that into their personal space as well. And so she may just have a goal of, I want to be married. I want to have a relationship like this. These are the questions that, I ask in relationships. I don't necessarily think that makes her broken, but I think when you come out of a longstanding marriage and you're in this dating space, I do think she needs to listen to her friends. She needs to listen to them and realize that her approach and the way she's coming across in these relationships may seem needy. I mean, I just think she has a goal, and she's meeting three guys. They were all successful. Clearly they had very good relationships with her. They just didn't want to move into marriage. So she's doing some things right.
I think that
How can they get married a year after though?
Huh?
How could they get married a year after to somebody else though?
Well, for me, like the way I would see it is, if I had a friend who she was going through this, I'm looking at it like you were putting on all of the bells and whistles for everything to sort of bait them into wanting to marry you, because you probably weren't honest from the gate, right? And then you're throwing on all this stuff to get them to want to commit. And by the time you tell them this, that you're looking to get married, they realize, like, wait a minute, was this really you? Is this really the person that you are? And then I guess, at some point they realize, like, wait a minute, I'm getting an act. This is an act only because you want to get to the goal of getting married. So you're not the person. They move on, and they probably meet somebody who's truly genuine in the experience. Like, it's a conversation that's had up front. I'm hoping I'm getting who you really are.
I guess the question is just like, I think people have relationship FOMO, and I think people who have been married sometime, I'm not going to say think. Is it a possibility that people have marriage FOMO, especially if you have been married before and you're single again? People are uncomfortable. If you have a certain friend group that everybody is married, and you feel like they feel uncomfortable now that you're single and you're good looking or whatever else in certain circles, is that, I feel like, I mean, I know they have that feeling like, I need to get married so I can be accepted in this circle.
all that to me sounds like you're letting outside influencers influence you. Everything that is good and perfect about me comes from within me and radiates outward. And everything that I experience that tends to be negative about my surroundings come into me. So I don't look at that's why I go back to the point that I have to be happy and complete and whole in myself. And if I'm happy and complete and whole in myself, the idea of what I don't have is not so much a factor. So I'm thinking if she's radiating a lot of I need, I want, and that energy is landing on people, they're reacting to that negatively.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So let's table the latter for a second and let's go into really because I think this also talks about the stuff she's not dealing with in her past and what she may even be talking about, or we all kind of just like okay, that relationship is over, let me move on. So thinking about her and even your experiences with relationships, was there the consistent attraction with certain people? What has been that consistent trait or constant that you have had even up to this day, thinking about your past relationships and up until now? What has been that thing that has drawn you into certain relationships? I'm gonna
I'll
start
go.
with that.
You're gonna start with me. I mean, I do feel like I date kind of the same type of guy to some extent, but I like that type of guy that I consistently date. I love a guy that's extremely confident, has a lot of charisma, got the gift of gab, likes to talk, know how to talk. Just make a woman feel like a woman and feel special. Now, their downfalls are there things that come with that type of guy, but
What have been the downfalls, Tanera? I want to talk about that.
they usually players.
They players. You like the players.
Everybody like them. And they need attention, and there's a lot of that. But they consider themselves unique and a rarity when it comes to women, and that's kind of how they got good at having all that charisma. But at the same time, at this age, I still find that it's hit or miss. So, I guess the question would be, why do you keep dating the same guy? But, I think those are good guys as well.
Like,
huh? Yeah, I like what I like. I've tried other types. I don't like them, to be honest. So, I've had good relationships with these type of guys, but again, if the relationship starts to get sour or things start to go wrong, they got options. And so, that can sometimes mess with you a little bit, but that's life.
Malik, your thoughts? Because you were talking about this a little bit
I think for me, it's funny. I thought about this week, and I'll just say this. My mother's an Aries, right?
Mm-hmm.
My daughter's mother's an Aries, and my son's mother's an Aries, and their birthdays are a week apart. So I realized that I attract, and I'm not into the whole astrology thing, but I do think that certain things hold true. So I tend to always pick a very strong-willed and strong-minded woman, which I appreciate. But then the downside of that is that I feel like I'm always constantly in a war with them or battle for like who's going to steer their ship. And, I never thought about it, but then I was looking like, because, their birthdays are both in March. They're coming up. So I'm telling both of them like, oh, happy birthday. What are you doing? And I'm just like, wow, this is like two totally different people from two different corners of, New York City, but they have personality traits that ring through. And then most women I date, they all tend to have the same personality traits and character. And
what is that trait, Malik? What's that trait?
Yeah, what is Aries trait?
What is that trait? What is that trait? Because my mother's an Aries. So what is the trait about?
It's kind of like that feisty, kind of like almost like a guy kind of energy, but there's a little bit of femininity to it. Like Aryan women are like very like they're very confident. They come off like like if you're not gonna do it, I'm gonna get it done on my own. They're not really like docile and submissive. You know what I mean? And I like that. I like an assertive woman, and I like someone who's confident in herself. But I also want you to be on chill mode sometimes. And I feel like those women are never on chill mode. And it's like, so I had to start asking myself, why do I keep attracting this kind of woman? It's not them, it's me now. Like I'm clearly the energy I'm giving off, or what I'm doing is I'm drawing this into myself.
We have an interesting comment. Jeff said you date your lesson, and you will constantly attract the lessons until you learn it, whatever that is. It's a class that you can't get around.
No, that's true. But then I say, like, I love my mother, and like I think she was a phenomenal woman in raising me. So, but then I think I think the dynamic of dating that type of woman, you get into that kind of mother-child dynamic, where instead of being your partner, they take on this role if they want to be your mother at a certain point. And like, oh, you gotta wear this to go to dinner, you gotta dress like this here. And it's like, yo, I'm a grown man. Like I met you dressing like this. So you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's weird. Because I love it, but I hate it at the same time.
All right.
Sometimes it goes your outfit, because they know that they're bringing it and they want to make sure you match their energy. Just saying. I'm not saying I dress people. I'm just saying that may be it.
Yeah. Basically, so in thinking about that, like when you think about those past relationships, Nara, you said you like the player.
No, I don't like the player. He just happens to.
They happen to be the player. You like the smooth. You like the Michael Jordan types, Tanera.
What is a player?
Girl.
Michael had a whole nother family. We ain't gonna
Did I
talk
miss that memo? I didn't know Michael was a player.
Michael had a whole nother family. We ain't gonna even talk about that.
Yeah,
but
that's a true player when you don't know.
Yeah, I think the thing is like we have those things and we are constantly just drawn to that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's somebody said you like the player and hate the game.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ronnie, what's your thoughts, babes?
All right. Well, I got a lot of S's in what I look for. So self-sufficiency, that's a thing. Swagger. So I didn't think I had a type until my friends and family said, no, you do have a type. Most of the guys that you date have this certain type of swagger. So I can agree to that. I'm attracted to swift, smart men because I have this humor that if you're not paying attention to, you won't get it. It'll fly right over your head. So when you can catch it that fast, I'm attracted to that. So I guess along with that swagger, a consistent thing has been most of the men have a story to be told, and everybody has a story to be told, but their stories have like a little bit of grime and a little bit of and success, and I tend to be attracted to those kind of men, of course, in their successful part of their lives, and men who have their own things going on. So, and particularly in the world of hobbies, like they're heavily into basketball, or they're heavily into running, or something else that they got going on. And definitely they tend to all be very, very confident. But that swagger thing and that story to be told is definitely consistent amongst most of them.
It sounds like you and Tanera like the same type of man.
I don't like the player, but yeah.
I didn't say the player, but there's a little play in swag, no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah, I guess.
I think you guys are like the same kind of gentleman.
Oh, really?
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think we don't want to identify with liking a player. I just think that, when you name, what woman doesn't want that?
Right.
You just gave the recipe. So yeah, he has that man, when he exists, he has options. So he's
but see, this is why I think the problem comes into dating is that we're not honest about the things that we like and the things that we should not like. Like even though you like certain qualities and traits like swag and this and that, what comes with swag.
Mm-hmm.
You know what comes with success. You know what comes with charm and charisma. So it's like, why then do I continue to like this when I know what comes with it? I think everyone's thinking they'll find a diamond in the rough. That he's the guy with player. When really that doesn't exist. Most guys who act like players, newsflash, we're players.
But
you know what I mean? It's
they
just
don't act like players,
Right.
I mean,
That's
like,
right.
I mean, I have a friend. I mean, he's on his stuff. He's a nice looking guy. He's self-sufficient, independent. You know, he has options, but he's not. I mean, at this age, I mean, he's not out there chasing women like that. You know, but
no, but a player doesn't mean you're chasing women. But it's like you said, you have options. So I might not give you the level of attention that you deserve, require, and want. True. Because I'm busy. You know, I'm talking to. I
don't. Right. I think as women, we don't see. I think women don't ever see like we're going to get played. We don't go into it thinking we're going to get played. We be like, I know the game. I recognize the game. Right. I think I never thought I was going to get played. But I think what happens is, and I think this is what Jeff was taught, like the lesson I learned is I ended up playing myself.
Mm-hmm. But can I just say one comment that's in the comment section?
Yes.
And it says, charm does equal bad character.
Charm what?
Does not equal bad character all the
time. Right. I agree.
No, it's charm coupled with swag and all the other little, like the grind stories and all that coupled together is what, you know, because if you're a charming person in and of yourself, that's a great thing. But when you usually have a backstory, there's a way you had to navigate that backstory, and that kind of speaks to your character and how you move and how you operate.
And this is
how you moved past tense. So, because you can be a much better person now. I feel like it also gives you texture, like because you can have people who were on the straight and narrow the whole time, and then they don't know how to navigate through the way the world is, and I think that is why that attracts me, because I know with adversity you're likely able to kind of handle it. So that's probably why I am attracted to the people who have like those stories.
Yeah, Rashad, because you've been quiet.
Rashad looking at us with them eyebrows.
I know, girl. He giving us charm and swag.
Giving back eyebrows.
The nonverbal charm and swag.
You guys are gonna leave me alone. First of all, as an Aries man, let's talk about that. No, I think that I agree with the last comment. I don't think that being charming and having charisma means that you're somehow lacking some sort of moral compass, or you're like just out here trying to play the field. I kind of consider myself a little charming if I can be, at times. But I think that if you're a person of good character, you're good moral standing, so to speak, I don't think that that's a problem. And I think that you can have fun with somebody and be playful and enjoy someone's company and not have to think like that. I feel like that's coming from someone else. It's like their definition of what charming or charisma or quote unquote a player is, because I've been accused of being that so many times, and I am like the most loyal cat you ever met. I've been in relationships perpetually for like the past 20 years, and I haven't been out in the field dating. So I mean, I guess what does that make me? A unicorn, an anomaly? What? I mean, I think that actually exists.
I guess the question, the other thing is, it's just like from those moments of all the swag and the charm and the strong women, what were some of the things that just you were like, through all of that, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy with certain relationships, not all, because we are all now, I think, currently single in this space. What is the things that you just like, I ain't gonna wish that on my worst enemy, that that experience with that relationship?
Are you talking about from myself or
For
from
yourself? Like, what have you learned from? Because Rashad, you didn't say like what has been the constant, consistent thing in your past that you have not possibly taken into your future in relationships.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think I said that before. I mean, the thing that I absolutely will not take into the future is my lack of patience and temper. Like that will not follow me or has not followed me into future relationships. So,
And what about the women that you have dealt with? What are some of the things that you were just like, oof?
easy, lack of accountability. I mean,
Mm.
you know, we both know we both know you did it. I mean, come on, man. I mean, just, it's
Yeah.
hard. I mean, it's so much, it makes life so much harder for you to give me reasons why you did something or try and flip it back to make it seem like it's my fault or be passive aggressive or any other type of um defense mechanism that you're going to use to try and get out of being accountable. But it's just so easy to say, look, this is my fault, this is on me, I take responsibility for it, and what can I do to make that better, or I'll work on that, not to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So accountability is number one for me.
I mean, I think people believe the stories in their head about what has happened in their relationships.
Mm-hmm.
We all do. No?
But you have no choice, really. That's the only way you experience the world, right? I mean, your perception is how you filter the world. So, I mean, and then your environment and baggage, past trauma, and everything else gets mixed into that cup, and then now it becomes something different, other than the reality that it is. You know, so people who people in my past that I literally believe hurt me. I went through 2 years of just being mad at somebody that I felt hurt me. And then once I became accountable to myself, like I was kind of doing the same thing to you. So, you know, I can't really just hold you to that fire and not hold myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would get rid of the story to be told. Because
Say that again, Rana.
for me, that constant thing that I said, that common thing that was in a lot of relationships was that story to be told. I would not carry that over, because with that story to be told, then I have to sit up here and um, question myself and figure out, like, where do I morally stand with certain things? So depending on whatever you did to get wherever you are, and even though you're living a better life, I don't want to, I wouldn't wish that someone took that into their decision in being with somebody. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't get what you're
Malik,
saying.
you
What do
look
you mean?
confused. Okay.
Like if you met a guy who told you he was an ex drug dealer, you don't think you would not hold that against him, or you would hold it against him?
If he said he was an ex drug dealer, I wouldn't want to hold it against him, depending on how he was living his life right now. But because I start to think about the story of how many people you destroyed in your community, that would start to bother me. It actually wouldn't start, it would bother me. So that was that one thing that I probably wouldn't want to wish on someone else to decide on if they're going to be with somebody else, based on that.
But why? If you have certain things to see, I don't understand why people say that. Because if you have certain things that are important to you, like let's say you decide, hey, I'm a health nut, I'm a gym rat, I don't want to date someone who smokes cigarettes per se. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having that criteria for your life.
Yeah,
And
but
I think
cigarettes
we have
doesn't bother anybody but you. Being a drug dealer takes down a whole
no, but I think we have begun to stigmatize whatever people's criteria are, whether it's smoking, what you did in the past, like whatever it is. And I think it's okay for people to have what they want for themselves. Like, I don't think anything is wrong with that. But I think the world has made us, like I think Rashad said earlier, external forces have made us feel guilty or like we're bad people, we're judgmental for wanting and picking what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I think you can be judgmental when it comes to you. You can pick exactly what you want, whether it's good or bad for you, whether it's healthy or toxic. You have the right to pick that for yourself.
Right. I agree. You do. But I think the other thing is like sometimes we, again, those, because we have, I'm not saying everybody, but when we have those toxic experiences, we don't deal with the stories that we have told ourselves and the lessons that I'm going to say haven't been learned. We know that are there. Sometimes those, again, fall over into that relationship with the new person.
No,
Like
I
in the
think you should use discernment, but I mean, who am I to say that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely think you should pick wisely, and try to, do, use your best judgment. But, I just feel like people have been shamed into not even wanting to use their criteria. It's kind of like if you're known for dating a certain type of guy, as long as you maintain the status quo, there's not going to be any ruffles or rifts in your life. Whether it's the way your friends look at you, your family look at you, the way you navigate the universe, you're gonna, you know what I mean? Whereas I think if you would maybe sometimes really cling to what you need, want, crave, desire, you would probably be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I agree with that completely. I think that's a part of being grown. You learn from your experiences and you grow each time in better understanding who you are and what brings you joy. And so what, a certain type of relationship for one person. Actually, I was out today and, this guy was saying every day he needs to get out. Like he literally hangs out every day, like go to a bar or something. I like to stay in the house, and so, people have different things. I can't be with a guy who needs to be out publicly every day because it's just not a fit. Great guys, no judgment, but I have to know who I am and he has to know who he is. And so sometimes those things, aren't a match. So I think you do have to know yourself. I mean, that's a minor detail, but, truly know what you're looking for in a relationship. Now, Natalie, what I think you're talking about is when we begin to bring context into situations because of our past trauma. So if you're out hanging out, then you're cheating or you're doing this because you experienced that in the past. I don't think that's fair, because it could legitimately just be that's a part of that person's personality. But, that's where I think that line is drawn. Like you can't carry the context of your trauma, but you also have to know what it is that makes you feel complete in a relationship.
Right.
But Tanera, that means that person hasn't really fully healed from whatever it is, from whatever past trauma they've experienced.
Yeah. Oh, the person who likes to hang out all the time?
No. The person that keeps bringing that past trauma into the current relationship.
Oh, absolutely. And, as much as we all want to say that we heal and, don't start doing stuff until you've dealt with those things. I mean, it's a journey. And honestly, sometimes you need to be alone and by yourself to address some of those things. And sometimes you have to be in a relationship to test it out, to see, am I where I think I am? How do I react in these situations? So sometimes there's casualties in the process of, being on that journey to dealing with that.
Now, trauma. Can I ask you? So let's say if Tanera ended up dating that guy, let's say Tanera ended up dating that guy, right? Because this kind of happens in relationships, knowing that he likes to go out every day, but she in her mind are like, well, he's only maybe possibly going out because he's single. Once he gets in a relationship, he might want to be at home with me. We create these narratives in our head. So let's say she ends up dating him, then 6 months down the line, it doesn't work. Would we like look back and say that, maybe she shouldn't have dated him from the beginning? Or, you know what I mean? Like, because this is what I think happens a lot in relationships. You'll see something initially that might be a red flag and not to proceed. And it doesn't have to be like some huge past trauma. It could just be something that's not a fit for you. But I think we tend to ignore because of how situations make us feel. Like if something feels good, we ignore everything else. So they might be at the bar drinking.
But Malik, sometimes the question is even the things that make us feel good may be things that may be familiar. could still be
Mhm.
toxic.
Yeah.
No, but that's why we run full steam ahead at them. That's what I'm saying. So it's like she might have been out today because she doesn't go out that often. She might say, wow, this guy was a great conversationalist. We had some laughs. He was amazing. Then they exchanged numbers. He invites her out again. And, it kind of just blossoms from there. And then she's maybe realizing in the back of her mind, like, you know what, this guy, even when I'm not out with him, he still's out every night. And that's not really my thing.
But I think that's where you ask questions, though, Malik. And so you were saying kind of at the beginning of the call, let things happen. Don't always, when we were talking about the lady who wrote the letter, don't get into those deep discussions. And I guess I found myself in that conversation because I asked, why are you out every day? What is it that you're missing? Like, where did this start? Were you always like this? And it is on top of trauma. It was something he dealt with where he was alone for a very long time and depressed. And because of that depression, he feels a need that he has to have that he has to be out. He needs
social interaction.
People around. Yeah, he needs that. And I don't. And so I think if you don't ask the questions, then that's on you. But if you ask the questions and you now you can make a choice.
Right.
So, you don't want to sound aggressive. You don't want to sound like you're trying to figure out the entire relationship in one date. But in some respect, you should a little bit. You should dig a little deep.
Somebody said in the comments, your past is your experience and your teacher. And some people, I have to say, have not learned the lesson from their past and continue without as Rashad said, you have to take responsibility at some point. What did you do, or where are you in what happened? You could not just be sitting there and all of these things happened to you in a past relationship. You can't say you didn't take part in it. So when are we going to start taking responsibility for some of the things that we've done in the past and reconcile it before we move on to a new relationship?
Uncle Jeff said it best. You're going to keep repeating the thing that you need to be taught the most. So in my case, I needed to be taught patience. So I was constantly put in situations that tested my patience over and over and over until I got to a point that I was able to articulate what I needed to talk about and articulate clearly and concisely my feelings on that situation and not be angry or not lose the argument with being aggressive. Because once, I think this is a very clear lesson that once a man loses his temper, he's lost the argument. So I can't be in a situation where I just want to be loud, or I just want to, I'm a big dude, so I don't want to, I can't intimidate you, and I can't put you in a situation that makes you feel uncomfortable. And patience taught me how to do that. So I can talk to a person, and if they're escalating towards me, I know how to sit my ass down.
Yep.
I literally can make myself physically small and say, you know what? We need to chill. We need to maybe take a break. Let's take a breather, and we can come back and discuss this later. But right now, we don't need to keep doing this because this is a circular argument. It's just going to keep happening. And the more it keeps happening, the higher and higher and higher up we're going to go. And we need to sit our asses down for a second. So I think that over time, once you learn that lesson, and it takes a while to kind of because everybody who's dated you has been telling you what's wrong with you. I mean, they've been telling you, well, you drink too much, or maybe you stay out too much, or, you don't respect me, or maybe
or they
you don't do this.
tell you, or they don't tell you. But there's a reason why you have to reflect. They're telling you by not telling you.
I have a problem with the way this conversation is going for this, because you dating someone doesn't work out doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means that it just didn't work out for me. Like I don't, because then I don't, every time. I guess this goes with if you're dating with intention. And I always say like when I'm dating, I'm getting, and I don't even know if it's dating, to be honest with you, because it's like, what is really dating? Is dating that you guys had a conversation and said that we're dating, or is dating when you start sleeping with the person? Like, what is really dating? But for the sake of this conversation, if I'm dating someone, I'm trying to get to know you, right? And I'm forging forward because we have things in common. We have interests, and there's things that we can do together. So if it doesn't work out, then I'm just, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't see it as a fault on me or a fault on that person. It just didn't work out. It wasn't our time. So to look at every relationship and say, well, oh, let's talk about what he did wrong or what she did wrong. I don't feel that. I'm just like, why do we even have to go there?
Because I think
I
dating
agree.
is different from relationships.
I
Like, I
think,
think dating, yes. Dating, you can, it's like whatever. But when you're in a relationship, like a career or anything else, it either works out or it doesn't work out. And when something doesn't work out, the human consciousness, we want to understand why. It's just like when you're trying to problem solve at your job, or when someone tells you a song and you want to remember the lyrics. So I think in our minds, we just, we are complete when we understand why something happened.
and
So
I agree. I think one of the things is let's stop using the word wrong. I think it's more so of a what are you learning
Yeah, I like
about you in
Mhm.
that dating experience, relationship experience, even friendship? Like, what are you learning? Because sometimes the consistent intimacy does not change, whether it's physical or not. If there's an intimate connection, you're gonna learn something about yourself, I
Yeah.
feel.
And
Um,
can I
go
just
ahead.
say something that I don't know if we're skirting around it or we're trying to avoid or we're trying to be kind, but can we talk about sex for a second?
Anthony,
Just
we got 8 minutes, but go ahead quickly. We could do a quick round because we got
no,
8 minutes.
I'm just being real. I mean, when sex is involved, sometimes that changes the whole dynamic. Like that's my freaking brain. I'm just like, that could actually be a factor in some of the things that why you're choosing wrong or something like that. Like we haven't really talked about it, but that actually is a factor in how we're choosing as well.
Oh,
and it's crazy to me because that should be like the last thing I think. There's
I
so many other layers to a person you need to know
Absolutely.
before you be
That
intimate
also
with them.
is one.
I
But that's also is one that could actually get into the mix why you're choosing that person. I'm not saying that that's the first thing, but we're not addressing.
I think, Anthea, I think especially for women, and I'm gonna say a lot, primarily for women, based on how we have been conditioned over time. I think the older we have gotten, but I know women have decided, okay, I am sleeping with him. He is with me,
Gotcha.
right?
true.
That's how we be like, I open my legs to you, Negro. I better be the only one that legs you are becoming between. No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm at that point.
Now, is that
That's even
fair?
to you, my man.
Is that like fair? Is
It's
that like
because
a fair
If it's
assessment?
communicated, it's fair. I definitely think that should be communicated.
But sometimes women don't communicate. It's like Natalie said, that's the narrative. That's just what's happening. Like we slept together, we a couple.
Yes.
Well, especially for Black women, there has been a stigma like if you are sleeping more than a certain amount of people, you're a hoe. And I'm saying it's changing now, but I think the question is just like, especially at our age, and how long can we prolong sex or hold out sex and so on and so forth. But sex is powerful as a motherfucker.
Well, do you guys think ignorance is bliss? Because I feel like when we were younger, we probably all dated much more. And, we had, because we didn't really know fully ourselves or even what we wanted. So it's kind of like, you might go on 5 or 6 dates when you're in your 20s. Whereas
Sean,
now you might go one, you might do one on the weekend. So I feel like maybe when we were kids, we just like, you didn't even know what you wanted or didn't want. So you just kind of experienced the smorgasbord of dating until you
yeah.
started to pick and choose what you
Sean
like.
Dudley had a great quote. I see he has. They have it on. Sex can prolong situations that should have ended earlier. So it's important to differentiate between relationships, dating, and hooking up. Absolutely.
Well, that's the conversation you guys had a couple of weeks ago about being attached versus being truly into someone. So you can just be attached to the physical, um, to the touch of that person, or just the physical contact of that person, while not necessarily being that deeply involved with that person. So yeah, it's really important that once you know what, I'm going to circle back to something because brother Walter said something in the comments that said something to the effect of, once you're out of a relationship, it's really important that you just turn around and look at it and be very honest with yourself, and do a post-mortem. It's like, okay, so who was I here? Or was I authentic, or was this person authentic? Or how did I show up in this relationship, and how can I make myself better from the mistakes that I made from the last relationship?
It's that mistake thing. It's like, why is everything looked at as a it's
I'm
a
not
it's
saying
a,
I'm not
it's a problem?
Renee, I'm not saying that everything is a mistake, but to say that I don't make mistakes would be the biggest lie that I can ever tell myself. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that everything that I've done in my life, and also I'm not I'm very grateful for all the mistakes that I made, because every mistake and every action that I've made have brought me right here to this camera.
So why is
So
it not a learning experience? Why is it a
I'm sorry.
mistake?
Well, it
Why
is.
is it
It's
not a learning
I mean,
experience?
self-reflection.
mistake, learning experience, I think it's just word semantics.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
It's
but
If I,
when,
if I got
Exactly.
if I got
when
cheated
you
on,
say when you
but I
say
realized,
mistake,
let's say I dated a girl, she
mistake
cheated
comes
on me.
off as negative, where learning
No, it's
experience
just a
comes as
mistake.
something
It's like,
progressive.
this one said, let's
But
say
I
I
think
dated a
there are.
girl and she cheated on me,
Okay,
right?
here let's
And
let's
then I
let's
look back
let's
and I'm like, why did
so
she
we don't
cheat on
get
me?
caught up
And I worked
in the
20
semantics.
hours a day. And I was like, wow, okay. My mistake in that situation was that I was not cognizant of the time I should have invested into her. So while I don't excuse her for cheating on me, I recognize the part I played in the situation.
How
And that's
about
just me making a mistake. A
how about
mistake
how
to me.
about we just change the word and just say, you know what, for myself, I'll just say my choices. My choices brought me here. Whether those choices were good choices or choices that didn't work out for me, they were still my choices.
I
So
like
if I
choices.
choose to call them mistakes, or if I choose to call them choices, they still brought me here. So at the end of the day, I have to go back and look at my my narrative and how I showed up in that situation, whatever we decide to call it.
So we have about a little bit less than a minute left. We're gonna have to continue this in the after party because I feel like we really started to get into some things. Everybody has choices, and yes, they do. Everybody does have choices. Uh, D Parks, yes, absolutely. Uh, what? So talking about present now into future. If you meet your person yet tomorrow, are you ready for them now? Do you feel like you're ready?
I'm
I
ready.
do.
What makes you ready?
I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure.
think well, part of it is just a state of mind. I mean, to say when I say that I'm ready, I think, well, one, I've been married before. And not to say that, I know what it means to be ready versus someone who hasn't, but it's a lot of compromise. There's a lot of selflessness in it. Is a lot of, giving up of your personal desires and putting someone, I think love is, putting someone before yourself. And I think, shoot, I didn't want to, for a long time, I didn't want to do that. For the first time, probably in a long time, I do feel like I'm ready to do that. So I guess that's what I mean when I'm in a mental space where I can put someone before myself.
Okay. All right. Quickly, 20 seconds. Malik, you ready? And
I
how
think
you know
so.
you ready? You got 20 seconds.
I think because I've did the work and I've been on a journey of just trying to really discover who I am and what I'm about. So I think I'm ready to present that to, my potential future partner.
Okay, all right. Shy. You ready, babe? With them eyebrows, red light. I know you ready for the red light special though.
whatever it is, I'm ready for it. I mean, I'm at this point, I'm present to what's happening right now, and I'm not necessarily so locked in or enamored by what's down the road. If you're here and you're in my life right now, then we're enjoying each other right now. Whatever that leads to is whatever it leads to. So right now, I'm ready to be me and exist in this moment right now. So I'll leave it there.
All right. Renee, take us out, babe. You ready?
I kind of feel the way Rashad feels. For the moment, yes. And just let it see where it goes. That's where I am with it.
This went too fast. We could do a whole nother hour. We could do a whole nother hour just on this.
You're about
So that
to.
means y'all got to come into what? The after party. Remember, we're going to Antigua in April. So show up if you can come. We got some folks coming down. Anthea's planning. So we're planning some amazing things. DM and Sunshine, and she will let you know. And let's go. I will see you guys in the after party. The panel will be in the after party. Meet us there. We want to hear what you got to say. And I know based on these comments, y'all got a whole lot to contribute. So we'll see you guys. See you in a bit. Bye, everybody.
Hey yo, I met her on a cloudy day. Hit her with the howdy, hey, my name is Boo Kep. Where in the world just smile today? She said, why in the world I got to smile for you? Men are always trying to tell a woman when and where and how to do. But then she smiled and said, okay, well, how are you? She had about an hour left at work that she's still trying to power through. Her baby father was the cause for all the pain she harbored. Said her name was Barbara. She did hair and barbered. I said, you know what, let's connect on Instagram. She said, I know you really want my number, nigga, so just get it, damn. Niggas always be afraid to ask for digits. Nowadays, it's like niggas and change their ways and now they bitches. She was the baddest, her demeanor was the meanest, but her and I could not deny the energy between us. She was the most amazing in many ways. Caught her blazing in the park, but I don't smoke, but that's cool anyways. I purposely ain't text her back in many days. Studied the book of Futuronomy to calculate my future plays. Really, I'm just trying to get laid, then move to another beach so I can catch some new waves. You see, really for the man, it's all about the hunt. We only want what we have when we don't have what we want. And that's the games we play. OGs did it the same way, and now we do it the same today. I finally text her like, yo, I've been busy, really, but haven't stopped thinking about you, Barbara. What's the dilly? She took a couple days to hit me back like, hey, sorry, I've been busy too, and now we going tit for tat. I got to switch into a different hat. If I'm gonna be hitting that, I'm digging that. Plus her ass and tits is fat. Wait, it don't make sense that her tits is fat. It made sense within my mind, but now it doesn't when I spit it back. It's okay, it don't matter, you understand. I'm just a fuck boy looking for fuck toys and high demand. Since I believe that I'm the man, I womanize the one man. There's many women to one man, so I get it in whenever I can. But the problem is what Barbara is, really she's needing me, exceedingly needing me at the height that the needy be. I could easily be the guy that she's needing me to be, but I also be needing me, and I be needing me to be free. free from any commitments, relationship jail sentence. I am the reason why shorties wear head wraps and burn incense and try to find themselves in zodiac charts with broken heart chakras and go to sacred women retreats and visit yoni doctors. I'm the reason they need healing, and I too need healing. I try not to catch feelings and energies that we dealin'. We get entangled when we tangle, and you know me, I've been rude. You gotta tune in next time, the story's to be continued.
Join Stacked After Hours, The Spot, where grown men and women gather to have candid, also honest discussions about the state of life, love, and more. The Spot is a hybrid of in-person and weekly virtual gatherings. Join our Facebook group and answer our daily questions. Subscribe to our YouTube for our weekly live talk shows, and join us on Zoom for our talk show after parties for lively conversations with other opinionated, grown, and sexy professionals. Just search, like, follow, and subscribe to Stack After Hours on Facebook groups and YouTube. Also like and follow our brand pages at Be Stacked Wellness on Facebook and IG. So wherever you are, at home or abroad, pull out your laptop, tablet, or smartphone and join in the conversation with the members of Stacked After Hours, The Spot by Be Stacked Wellness. See you there.
As you know, and if you are new to the Stacked family, we always keep our conversations lit and enlightening.
Baba just keep on texting, and I could tell that she's vexed. And I ain't hit her back since I hit it from the back. Even though I could fulfill everything that she lacked, I chose not to keep it real. Real players know how to act. Fuck boy on the attack. Break a bitch back just to never hit her back. Keep her on a rope and then I never give her slack. Telling her I love her as I'm humping her above her. Nigga, I'm a Mac, I'm the apple in her eye. Bitch, I'm dapper and I'm fly. Flake you in the jiffy and I'll never tell you why. Never had a problem getting women, but the problem is I've always been a problem to the women that I'm swimming in. Really, I should be praising the feminine, but I'm a toxic masculine, frontin' as a gentleman, just to keep it kosher. Learned it from the culture, pussy vulture, just to get in closer, telling her lies as I stroke her. Me and Barbara were destined to take it farther, but I ain't wanna be bothered, so I made her life harder. I played the game the way I'm supposed to play the game. I'm harder. If Barbara would've been smarter, she'd have got it from her father. Yeah, I laid the thing down, laid my game down. We went from calling each other first names to nicknames now. Then I slid up in it raw, and now the shit changed now. She thinks this dick belonged to her, and Barbara insane now. So I had to duck her, wouldn't call her, refused to fuck her. Had a lot in common. Resurrection, I used to love her, but I couldn't let it happen. Homie, I'm forever macking. Shorty caught up in her feelings while I'm chilling and relaxing. Diary of a fuck boy. Yeah. Diary of a fuck boy. Yeah. You see, the thing is with niggas at the end of the day, niggas just want a bad bitch. You know what I mean? Every chick in between is just practice. It is what it is. For part 3, to be continued.